Hi there, I'm Larry Mishler, and this is Photography Before Digital. And today we're really going to be a little more transparent, and we'll just kind of slide into this program. But we're doing this through Larry's lens. As you know, I'm a camera collector, and I collect old cameras and old photography equipment and that kind of thing. And I've been doing this since I was probably maybe 10, 12 years old. So I have a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that I didn't have. How I got interested in transparencies is what they call slides or slide. I don't know where the word slide came from, but everybody kind of understands what a slide is. I went into a Goodwill store and saw this little box here with these little glass things in it. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is cool. They're old photographs, all from early 1900s and some maybe even in the late 1800s. And so I asked the guy, I said, what do you want for this old box? He looked at it and he says, well, no one's really looked at it, so how about 50 cents? I said, that sounds good to me. So I gave him 50 cents and came home and used them. Anyway, they're part of my collection, but then when I was talking with my ophthalmologist, I mentioned he's quite a photographer too, and loves to collect cameras. And we were talking about this, and he told me, I have some magic lanterns. And I said, I'm not really sure what that is. So if you'll see these on the side here, these are the magic lanterns. And I borrowed these from my ophthalmologist, and it's Dr. Frank Caserta. And he loaned these to me. Usually I use my own camera collection, but on some of this stuff, like this takes a lot of space. And I am kind of limited on space, and most of the projectors and things like that, I kind of pawned off to other people because that wasn't my main interest. So anyway, I like to show you these magic lanterns. This particular one, I'm going to move this over here to get that out of the way. This magic lantern is exactly what it says. And you take the slides and you put it in here like so, and move it on to the next one. They made these projectors in England. This happens to be made in London by a place called Perkin, Son and Raymond, and they're in London, and they made these things. They're just really beautiful pieces of work. They have, and these are fully operational right now. Originally, this was made in 1887, I believe is the date on it, and this is a little chimney here. On the inside, they had this is before electricity, so they used a little cup that held a stuff called limelight. Now, here's a quiz. Where did it start, the term, you can be in the limelight? And most actors know what this is, but they don't know where it came from. Well, the term limelight came from quicklime, which is actually calcium oxide. Okay, what's this got to do with anything? Well, that little cup that they have in here, they put the calcium oxide in there, or the quicklime, and ignite it. It would give off a lot of smoke, but it also gave off a lot of light, and when it burned for 10-15 minutes, depending on how much you had in there, and you could then do the slideshow. Now, this projector is a single, but let's see, I have a slide of a double, and a triple. Now, the reason why they had these is that was the first fade and dissolve. So you could go and you could have an aperture on the lens of the bottom one, and you could close it down and open the other one up, and it would have a really nice dissolve effect, just like the movies do. So this is why they did that. This was restored in London, and my, as I said, my friend, my ophthalmologist, he went ahead and bought this. I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn this around here and show you the revisions that were made. We'll open the door here, and you can see inside they put an electric light. Maybe you can see that. And there's also a reflector here in the back, and they added that when electricity came. It really did work quite well. However, it still gave off a lot of heat. And you'll notice that the construction of this it's all made out of wonderful mahogany, nicely finished with brass. On the inside are heat shields that are made out of metal, and that was because no one had thought about or figured out how to put an electric fan in there to cool it. So that was one of the ways that they did this. The other projector I have is, this was very similar to it, but if you'll notice the chimneys, the chimney here and the chimney here, this is much more ornate. This was made in the early 1900s, about 1900. It had used the same, basically the same thing. It has the arms here to hang on to it or to move it around. It is the same basic slide changer. And not too many things are different from this than that. It still used the quicklime to afford the light. And then we, this is real nice. This also has on the back, I'll show you. These are not really light. They're in fact they weigh a pretty good amount of. But on the back here, they quit using some of the mahogany on here and used metal. And each one of these is each one of these little doors here opens up, and you can see that they're starting to use more metal on here. And whereas the side of this had a little light, you could see when the light was lit. These don't have that. They have a little peephole here. If you can see this, let me turn this back over here a little bit. They had a little peephole. So that's kind of neat. But the brass on here is just really, really nicely machined, and it was just fabulously done. Now this, I don't know what brand this is. It looks very similar to this. There's slight differences, but there were several companies that went ahead and made these magic lanterns. But these two guys, they're just wonderful projectors to look at and to see. And my doctor friend said, the next thing I'm going to do is to switch over to LED so he can use LED lights, because even incandescent light is really hot, and it's not the best thing for the slides. When Kodak invented Kodachrome for 35mm cameras, it really started to explode, and a lot more people were saying, wow, I can have my own color slides. So I'll be back with you in a second, and we'll show you how this progressed from this point to the future. Everybody has one of these, but before these, we had box cameras that had film. So what we can I tell you what, next time we do this, if you could stay awake instead of snoring, that would be great. Well, you saw the large projectors, and then when 35 millimeter Kodachrome came into play, a whole bunch of things started happening. People started saying, hey, I can be my own slideshow presenter. And in fact, a lot of people will remember if the uncle came in and he had his projector, say, hey, I've got some pictures I want to show you. The kids would usually say, Mom, do we have to watch this? But that was a very famous thing that people love to show their slides. This is one of the projectors. This is an Argus projector, and it's very simple. This was a simple projector that was made. It has a lamp house, and it has a slide changer, and that was about it, and a lens, and that was a really a good way to show some slides. But then things got more sophisticated, and this was a little SVE projector. This is actually made for SVE, which was I don't know the name of the company, what the SVE stands for, but anyway, they coordinated with Kodak and they made film strips. And for many years during the Second World War, film strips were used for instruction, and they used 35 millimeter film. Everything was shot horizontally so that they could put the film strip in and they go from slide to slide, and it was all together. That was one of the nice things about it, is that the order was always in the right order. So it was great for instructions that way. And even film strips were used. One of my first jobs with the Tempe schools was as the audiovisual director, and I came in and we still had about 300 film strips and that were being used. It was okay, but we had to kind of phase them out because of the lack of projectors. Everybody quit making them. This little projector here, it was a combination film strip projector and slide projector. It has a slide component in here right now, and you drop the slide in. Very similar to the large ones, the large magic lantern projectors, but they were much smaller slides and much easier to get. Anyway, so these were fanless projectors. Now, as things got to be more competitive in the business, they started putting fans in and condensers and heat shields in there to protect your slides. And one of the problems that happened was that people would go into, say, the drugstore, and they'd say, I want to roll a color film. And the person operating oh yeah, okay, this says color, and they would say, oh, you roll a color film. And they'd go and take pictures with it, they'd get it developed, and they'd come back, and instead of getting a bunch of prints, they'd get a box like this, and they'd go, well, what's this? What are these things? Well, those are slides. Well, you had slide film. Well, I wanted prints. And a lot of people would say, well, I don't know. I don't know what you did. And that was the confusing part, because there was two things. Like, here's a roll of Kodachrome. This is Kodachrome 2. And this is for color slides, daylight or blue flash. Okay? And here's a roll of Kodacolor, and this is for color prints. If you went into a camera shop, they would ask you, do you want prints or slides? But sometimes you go to a drugstore or another place that just sold film, they'd sell you whatever they happened to put their hand on. Also, there was some confusion, like Fuji. Here's Fujifilm, Super HQ 200 speed film. But nowhere on it does it say, it says indoor and outdoor. Oh, great. And this says right here in little small print, 35 millimeter film for color prints. Whew. Well, if you didn't know, if you wanted slide film, you'd have a problem. Now, what happened is that there are several labs that got together and they figured out that they could take a slide like this, make an inner negative, and then make a print. And so for about 50 cents, you could get a print made from your slide. That was a little expensive because a regular color print was just 32 cents. So what happened with all this film is that some people got really disillusioned with shooting pictures because they didn't know whether they were going to get slides or prints. There's several different formats. The super slide, which is like this. This is a super slide. This is 127. Now the Star Max series that Kodak made shot these this size film. The regular 35 millimeter slides were like this size. Now, several places would go and they'd want to get your processing, so instead of cardboard mounts like this, they put them in plastic mounts like this, which was a lot more durable, and they wouldn't warp and they were easier to put into the projector. There was also, this is a glass mounted slide. Now, if you really had a prized slide that you wanted to protect, you'd buy the slide mounts, which is two little pieces of glass, and then you'd tape the things around here, and then it was relatively permanent. So that was one of the nice things. So, and people would have different ways of, different labs would have different ways of producing sometimes you get a little box of slides like this, and they were nice for storage, or they would come like this in a box. That was nice. Or gradually they got into plastic boxes like these. And those were nice. But the real problem came in projection. Now, a lot of the places would have little viewers, like this is made by Argus. This is a previewer too. And if you want to see what these are, you go and you hold them up to the light. Well, you don't have to. You could get a little viewer like this, has a little battery light in it. It would light up. You look at the viewer. Oh, okay. And you could preview your slides. Now, some of the larger slides, like this, they don't fit in the viewer, and you'd have to have a special projector for it. But there's a lot of people that did use these larger slides, and they made larger projectors. Polaroid made a transparency film, and they made a projector that projected 2 1/4, 2 1/4 slides like this. There was also little viewers. Many companies made all kinds of viewers to do these from $1 or $2 up to about, some of the really high dollar ones would have a slide changer on it and cost as much as $35, which is the cost of many of the really low-end projectors. So next I want to show you what changed projection for slides.
This is Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean is healthy today, but we almost lost her to a common household plant. We knew that poinsettias were dangerous to cats, but we had no idea that lilies and many other plants are toxic as well. Jelly Bean's curiosity about a bouquet of flowers almost killed her. Luckily, she beat the odds the doctor gave her to fully recover and avoid lifelong kidney damage. So keep your cat away from danger by being informed. More information on toxic plants is available on these websites. Make sure your cat keeps all its 9 lives. Watch your cat around plants. Paper bags, you're on your own.
The problem with slides was you had to hold them up to the light, or it was difficult to get them organized. So different companies came out with different ways to keep their slides organized. And like this is an air-quipped slide changing magazine. Okay, and what you would do, it had little frames like this. You would take a slide and very carefully put it in the frame. And then you take the frame and put it in the changer. And then you'd write what it was there. Okay, this went into a air-quipped changer, and you could, and as long as you had it in here, you were good, and they worked pretty well. So you could do a slideshow, and everything remained in order, just like the film strips. The only thing is, you had to spend a lot of time with that, and people would spend hours. This only holds 36, so but it was a very popular thing. And then along came Kodak with the better idea, and it was the carousel projector. And this is a carousel projector right here. This is not the earliest one. The earliest one was a 500 series. This happens to be an 800 series. Which was, this is about 1970. So anyway, the carousel has a slide tray that is round. It's quite a bit bigger than this. This holds 80, this held 36. Okay, the wonderful thing about this is it had a retaining ring. You take the slide and put it in here. Easy to put in. The ring would lock the slides in so that they wouldn't fall apart. It was easy to mount the projector like that, and voila, you'd start your slideshow. Now also they had, the thing that was nice was you could start, and it also, this one has an automatic focus on it, or you can focus it with the changer here. But it was really nice because if you happen to get one in wrong, you could take the ring off, pull this out, and slip it down like that, and you're home free. Whereas if you had it there, you'd have to take the whole changer out, take the slide out. So this became very popular. When the carousels first came out, they were like $139. And I'm going to turn that off so you can hear me. They were $139, and I thought, gee, no one will ever buy those because a good air-quipped projector was like $69, $79 like that. This is almost twice as much. The thing is, the convenience of having them in a tray that was easy to use and easy to remove was very popular. And once people saw how easy it was to organize your slides and to give a show, they were really sold on the idea to spend the extra money. Well, the first slide shows, or first slide trays, held 80 slides. And then a couple of years later, they came out with 140. So you could have a much longer show. The kids really loved it because they'd go to sleep in the meantime. But now the early projectors wouldn't use the, you couldn't use the 80, or they'd only do the 80. You couldn't use the 140s on them. But anything past the 600 series was able to use that. Now, other companies said, wow. So what they did is they came out with their own version. This is an air-quipped version, and this also was what was used on Sawyer projectors. And Sawyer made a lot of projectors also. This was a 100 slide. It's a little bit smaller, as you can see, and instead of having a ring to hold it in, it had a little spring clip in there so that they wouldn't fall out. And it made it easy to organize these too, where they went in from the bottom rather than from the top. But you could see that the numbers were easy to find, and then you'd have your script that you'd do that when you're running through your slideshow. Now, one of the things, Kodak made a one that looks very similar to this. It's called the ectographic, but it had a different kind of shutter. It had a shutter that would be much more professional. It would close down, and they built the ectographic so that you could do multiple slide projectors. The Arizona Republic did a slideshow in the I believe it was in the late 80s. They used 50 ectographic slide projectors, and it was like a motion picture. It was just unbelievable, and it was actually the thing. They had the music on really loud because the 50 slide projectors going on and off was something to behold. It was a tremendous organization to do that, but it was done, and people did that, and they loved it. So the next thing, storage has always been a problem with slides. I can show you different ways to store things, and we're going to do that in just a moment. I'll move the projectors out of the way.
And cut.
Okay, the original storage system is like this little box here that I showed you earlier. It was really nice. It's made out of wood, dovetail construction, and it did the job. But as people used a lot more slides, they wanted a place to store them. So all kinds of inventions were made. Some are like little suitcases like this. Let's see, with a latch on it. This was made out of metal. Oh, nice slides like that. And what usually happened is that people would go and do this. and you know, it's really hard once you dump your slides in there to every time you show them, you got to take them out and resort them. So that's not a particularly good way to do it, but it happened a lot of ways. Okay, Kodak came out with things. Other companies came out. This is from Baja. This is really kind of a neat little thing. And this is what you'd see your uncle bring in, the little carrying case. And then it has a drawer here. This one has 3 drawers. And it's very nice. You can keep your slides in there. This would keep a whole bunch of slides. Again, here's the same company, Baja. They did a lot of slide stuff. These things had little drawers, and they would hold a monumental amount of slides. Just a horrible amount. And then people would go, and since there wasn't any legend on this, they would go and take their slides and label them in here and put a little piece of paper in. This has 8 drawers. It holds many slides, as you can see, and it's a pretty good storage system. Kodak had a thing. This is before the carousel. This was called the Kodaslide compartment file. And what this was, it was kind of neat because you take and tip it out like that, and you could, Kodak had a slide projector where you'd put a stack of slides in, and it would manually put them over into the other side, show them and put them in the other side, and then you could put them back in. You could take them like this. But the carousel was really the thing that changed all of this. And let's see, there's also the way that it was very difficult to store 2 1/4 slides. So this wasn't a real popular system because people would show 2 1/4 slides that took a huge projector. Here's a picture of me with my fish. I'm about 12 years old and I went to Big Lake and caught my limit. And my dad was very pleased. They were good fish too, if I remember correctly. But my dad used to shoot a lot of 2 1/4 slides, mainly because he had the projector. But it never really did get to be a popular thing because it was larger, it made a great image. But as the film progressed, the images got better and better. So like this is a way you can store lots of slides. The problem is, what do you do with slides today? And this has been a problem. And a lot of people say, well, I've got all these slides from my dad or my uncle or somebody. What do I do with them? Well, I came up with, there's several ways you can do this, and I came up with one way that works for me. There are slide duplicating things that will convert to digital, and you can view them, and you push a little button in, and they, I think $200-300 you can get a fairly decent one. I have some of the things that don't make a really high res. They make an image that you can make a 4x6 print, but if you have a slide that say you want to make a salon print or a large print 16x20, you need a high res image. So I'll show you how I came upon and do the slide duplications.
Fentanyl is a very serious issue that causes many deaths.
This drug targets young people being made into brightly colored tabs. This is so dangerous, being as it can take up to only 2 milligrams to be deadly.
Fentanyl is the leading cause of death in ages 18 and 35.
Make sure you have your phone ready to call 911 at any moment.
Over 150 people die from fentanyl-related incidents every day. It's not worth it.
Okay, this is the setup that I came up with. This is I use the Nikon equipment. This is my Nikon D810, and I have a macro lens on it. And this is a slide duplicator that Nikon made, and I think they may still make it. I adapted this for converting from digital. Now, what it was originally made for was to shoot film to duplicate slides. Like this is a slide of, this is my toucan, my pet toucan that I had. And this was back in, wow, in the 60s. So I can put that in here, focus that, and then I hook my electronic flash up here, and we can do this, and I can use the live view to focus and to hooked up with I have a SB900 flash, so I can shoot that, and this is the image I get. Now, instead of a slide, I now have about a 50 megapixel image of this. So anyway, this is the way you can quickly do a lot of slides. You can duplicate a lot of them. Also, digitally you can correct them, which is something we couldn't do before unless you went into the dark room and actually did a color correction with filters. So it's much, much easier to do. And so I have, I can do about 100 slides in an hour. and which is not bad, but when you have like 10,000 slides, it's a lot of hours. So anyway, but this is one way to do it. The other way is, as I said, they make slide duplicators that you can put the slides in and you can view it, and it does it automatically for you. I don't think that they have quite as high of a resolution image. As I said, this is the D810, or I can put my D300 on here also for if I want to do smaller images, or I can just use this and reduce the image size. So I get about a 45 to 50 megapixel image, and it's pretty good and pretty sharp. So it's a good way to do this. This rig here, you can probably get on eBay or something, because most people don't use these anymore. So it's one way to reproduce slides. Now for the 2 1/4 slides, I have to do it on a scanner because it's too big for this. But film strips, or if I have negatives, I can put the negative in here. It has a little roll thing. I can run the negatives through here, close that up, shoot them the same way, and then in Photoshop I can convert the negative to a positive. So it's one way to save some of your images that you have on film or slides that you can still use digitally. Hey, pardon the interruption, but here's something I found that will make your life a lot easier. I know it's done mine. I know a lot of people have thousands of slides to copy, and if you use a Nikon Bellows copier that I just demonstrated, it can take you a long time to do a large group of slides and negatives because it's very slow. This is a device I found to be a real problem solver. It's the Kodak Slide and Scan Digital Film Scanner. Now, there's a bunch of them that are made by different companies, but this is the one I got. I picked this up online. I believe the price was about $179, something like that. This little unit is made by Kodak, and it's a really powerful little device. It has an option for you to choose the image resolution, either 22 or 14 megapixels. At 22 megapixels, it makes a 35 millimeter slide image of about 2.5 megabytes. It comes with a whole array of stuff that will fit just about any film size you may have, 35 millimeter or smaller. It has all the cords and even a little cleaning stick, so if you have some dust or dirt, you can scrape it off with that. And a very complete manual. Yeah, the manual's really good. It has an easy-to-control surface on the top of it, in which you can select the film type or what you're going to do, slides, color, negative, or black and white negatives. It will either do 35 millimeter, 126, or 110 film and slides. When doing black and white negatives, it displays a positive image, so it's easy to see what you're looking at rather than trying to make out what the negative is. Color negatives are also displayed as it would be looking at a color print. There's also an adjustment to vary the density and the color balance, but I usually use just what's normal or right in the middle to adjust the color and the density, and I use Photoshop to fix it up if there's a problem. Going from negatives to slides, you simply open the carriage and take out the negative holder, close it, and insert it back into the unit to duplicate slides. I was amazed how quickly you can convert a bunch of slides to digital with this unit. It uses a small SD card to capture the information so you can load it on your computer. Or it also has a cord, you can hook it direct to your computer and go direct. Well, I hope this little insert was of some help to you. So anyway, well, I hope you've enjoyed this issue of photography before digital. And I tell you what, next week, if you'll remember, I found some film that was in a camera that we were showing. We're going to go and see what develops. So this is photography before digital. And this is all through Larry's lens.
See, now we need to shoot a wine show next.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, these are
There's the other camera. That's it. You know what's cool is we get done with the show and then we get to have happy hour.
Yes.
That's not bad at all. Nice job, Larry. Yeah, you got it figured out for the